Oh yeah, you want to transition? Would you abandon your child to do so?
Wait, what?
Yeah, Nazis are pretty f***ing gay.
Yeah.
Lady in the Trans podcast. Where we believe in science. We don't believe in God. Only science. Science will solve all the problems. That's the trans agenda.
Trans people in science gonna save the day.
Solve the problems with us. With science. Science, bitch.
To my trans agenda, I'm returning trans.
Hello and welcome.
To Lady in the Trans podcast.
I am a lady.
And I have back problems.
Oh, me too. I'm Chloe, just by the way.
I'm Laura.
Yeah, those are our human names. I felt like today it might be useful to have a little explainer for trans terminology.
More people should know about the terminology.
People should have a place they can go to learn what words mean.
I agree.
And so not only are we going to talk about what the words mean, we are also going to talk about where they came from, who invented them, why they were invented. We're going to do a little etymology, some of that type of fun stuff.
Yes.
And you're going to be like, what? I know everything about being trans now.
Yeah, and hopefully people will have conversations that are less confusing for both parties after this episode.
So just to lay it out, the words that we will be talking about, cisgender,
Yes.
right, versus transgender, and like what the fuck is going on there? The terms AMAB and AFAB, the word TERF or gender critical, the words birthing person, pregnant person, and chest feeding, why those words came into being, what they're used for, non-binary versus genderfluid versus gender non-conforming versus genderqueer. We're going to talk about what the difference is between all those, why we have so many things. There's also like a bunch of other ones that like sort of come in there, like genderfuck is the thing. We're not really going to talk about genderfuck.
Genderfuck is a thing?
Some people identify as genderfuck.
Honestly, I kind of feel that, but like...
Yeah, it honestly feels kind of.
Are you going to give the
I'll
the
talk about it,
definition?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that one. I haven't heard that one, so...
We're also going to talk about the difference between transsexual, transvestite, transgender, crossdresser, and drag. Because people get those things confused all of the time, and there's no need. We will also talk about the difference between gender identity and gender expression within that same little section. We will also then talk about gender-affirming surgery, HRT, blockers, FFS, FMS, gender dysphoria, and I think we're going to wrap it all up with something that may end up turning into its own episode one day, autogynephilia.
I feel like we might have to do a whole separate thing.
That opened up such a can of worms for me because I was like, I know this little bit of shit and I know it's some bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And then just scratching the
There
surface
was much
of
more
the
bullshit.
little bit of bullshit.
There was a lot of
I was like,
bullshit.
holy fucking shit. This is a lot of bullshit.
It's a lot
There's
of bullshit.
bullshit inside of the bullshit.
And it's
hiding
insane.
underneath of the bullshit.
Yeah.
Inside of the bullshit.
It's shitception.
Turtles all the way down. That's what I'm saying. Without further ado, would you like to do this episode?
Yes, we shall.
Fantastic. So, obviously there's a lot of hullabaloo around the term cisgender,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people saying it's a slur.
It's a slur.
Blah, blah, blah. I'm not cis, I'm normal. All this kind of bullshit.
I feel like cis people that do the whole like, well, cis is a slur. I feel like people that are in a position of privilege based on their identity like to do this thing where when there are conversations happening about like, hey, our community is not having a good time, we'd like to change that. They'll take something and blow it up into a thing and be like, well, you're oppressing us.
Yeah.
So that way they don't address the problem.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, actually,
it's a
cis
distraction, it's a diversion. So yeah, it's just to throw some sand in the wheels of progress.
Yeah. And also, this is the thing. The terminology when discussing trans people and gender, we use these terms to make it less confusing.
Yeah.
Like that's the point of all of this.
Quite literally.
To be inclusive and also be less confusing. And the people that claim that we are so confusing make it more confusing by, well, cis is a slur. And also, I don't get, well, the pronouns. And then, like, I've talked to transphobic people where they'll start misgendering a person in their story. And then not only am I like, hey, you're being transphobic, also, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. Because you're calling them everything but their pronoun, and I genuinely don't know who you're talking. You're making it confusing.
Yeah. It's not confusing. You are confused.
Yes, and you're making it confusing the way
and
you talk about
I'm
it.
sorry that you live in a world where AI has rotted your brain.
Literally.
And you are incapable of learning a single new word. But
it's also the public education system in this country.
But here's the thing. Neither term cis nor trans are new words.
No.
They come from Latin. They come from all the fucking way back in Latin, which came around before English. English is derived from Latin. So these words existed in Latin, and trans literally meant across from, and cis means same side as. That's it.
That's it.
And it applies in chemistry, uses these terms a lot. Geography uses these terms a lot. Genetics use these terms a lot. There's literally terms for people who are talking about like a nearby mountain. They'll be like, which side of the mountain? They'll be like, oh, the cis side. Or, oh, the trans side. The side we can see right now is the cis side, and the trans side is the side facing away from us.
Interesting.
The side we would have to climb up the mountain to get to.
I always thought the term transgender came from transitioning.
No. It means opposite across from gender.
Yes.
It means your gender is across from the gender
where you
we
started.
assigned you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It literally means that.
I didn't know that.
The word transition comes from the Latin root trans, which means across. A transition is going across.
You're right. So it's
anytime the word trans appears in our language, it means across.
Across, you're right.
Always. Transversal is a line that goes across another line.
Transatlantic, across
the Atlantic. Yes, it always means across. And cis is a word that we use less, but it pops up.
Yeah.
Especially if you study chemistry, especially if you climb mountains.
Because
in chemistry, you can have a cis isomer, which means that all of the atoms are located on the same side of the compound.
Okay.
In genetics, you can have a gene, like you can have something that is impacting something cis, which means it's impacting a very nearby gene. And if it's impacting a very far away gene, they call it trans.
Well,
this word entered our lexicon, right? The reason we even say cisgender, because that was not really a thing prior to this woman, Dana Leyland DeFosse, who is a cisgender woman who in 1994 was on an internet forum because she was writing a paper in her college class on specifically the treatment of transgender kids. She was doing a research paper. And she was realizing as she was writing this paper, there wasn't really a word that existed to refer to non-trans people, but it kept being a thing she wanted to say.
Yeah.
And not just have to write out the words people who are not trans every single time. And she also felt it was really weird to try to say normal people. She was like, well, trans people are normal too.
Yeah, that doesn't feel correct.
There's got to just be a word. And so she looked into it and was like, well, I also have been studying chemistry. And I know that when...
And the opposite of...
And molecules, when they're gathered on opposite sides, are called a trans isomer. And when they're on the same side, they're a cis isomer.
Okay.
So if I just call them cisgender instead of transgender people, that means their gender is on the same side as we assigned them at birth. And if they are transgender, that means their gender is the opposite side of the gender spectrum that they were assigned at birth.
Okay.
Literally was just like, oh, easy enough. And so she was in this internet forum with all these trans people in 1994. I didn't know trans internet forums existed in 1994. But she was on one talking to trans people across the internet and being like, hey, what do y'all think about this word? And they were like, thumbs up, do it, go for it.
Cool.
Sounds good.
She was ahead of her time then, because I feel like I learned what a trans person was in 2010. And any idea of a trans person I had prior to that was it's just a dude who cross-dresses and does drugs and prostitutes.
Yeah.
And trans dudes weren't a thing. Like, that was kind of what society saw of the trans community prior to it because there was no representation.
Yeah.
So she was, smarter than everybody and very much understanding.
I genuinely think the first time I ever heard about a trans person was the Eddie Murphy story.
The what?
Eddie Murphy at one point was like caught with a trans prostitute
Okay.
and was arrested for it. And everyone was saying he was gay. And now I'm like, that doesn't sound gay to me.
No.
If he was hooking up with a chick, like whatever. But when it happened, everyone was like, oh, Eddie Murphy's gay.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, back then people understood because there was no media representation. So I know as a kid,
quite literally.
I didn't even know the word transgender. I thought of transgender people as all transvestites, which I thought meant just a guy that dresses in women's clothing and is a prostitute.
Well, we will talk about all those things.
We will.
When we get to that section.
Yes. Sounds like she was smart enough to realize these are people that are experiencing a real thing and they're just people.
Which is
and
why she was doing a research project on trans kids and how they're treated.
Yeah.
So in her words, she said, there did not seem to be a way to describe people who were not transgender without couching them in normalcy and making transgender identity automatically the other.
Yeah.
So she decided to come up with this word. There is a common misconception that goes around on the internet whenever people talk about cis, especially the people who want it to be a slur. There is a common misconception that the word was invented by a German sexologist and pedophile. And they all like to say that the word was created by a pedophile to try to normalize pedophilia.
Yeah. Which we're gonna get into we're
We
gonna get into the
are.
transphobic guy who is the actual one, but
We're gonna look.
that's
There's a lot of shit we're gonna talk about.
All of these men accusing the gay people and trans people of being pedophiles are the pedophiles, and the Epstein files have been dropping. So, like, I hope you're realizing that if you're one of the idiots that believe trans people are pedophiles, it's actually your fucking president that you voted for, dumbasses.
Yes. But the idea that this man invented the word has been pushed heavily by Elon Musk on Twitter. Whenever somebody mentions it, he retweets it, he comments on it, he's like, yep, that's true, ignore that fucking pedophile. Like, he's all over this. He's spreading it like crazy. Personally. He's personally spreading this lie.
I want to beat up Elon Musk so bad. I swear to God.
He deserves it. You absolutely could. I think he would be a pushover.
Yeah.
Yeah. His center of gravity's too high.
His rib cage pops out to here.
Yeah, you could just poke him and he would just fall over.
Literally.
You know?
He'd be like, yeah.
You shouldn't have pushed me. Oh.
That was so rude of you.
Too strong to like push over. Seemed to have made me experience high tide.
Anyways.
When Elon Musk announced in 2023 that cis and cisgender would be considered slurs on Twitter and anyone who used the word would have their post taken down and possibly their account banned, Dana Leyland, who invented the term cisgender, responded. Well, it comes as no surprise, considering his ghastly history of attacking trans people. Banning use of a word that's part of our daily vocabulary around the world that appears in the Oxford English Dictionary, it's a cowardly and futile attempt to censor an idea which is way bigger and more enduring than anything Musk could hope to offer.
Roasting him professionally.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And then she said, when someone like William Shatner argues, I'm not cis, I'm normal, that is a very loaded idea that is really destructive and hateful. She equated the attack on the word cisgender to the attack on trans people in general and likened that to a pogrom, which means genocide, basically.
Yeah.
And she basically said, look, cisgender is a straw man. It's easier to attack a word than to address the reasons people feel intimidated by discussions of gender identity. The word is a threat because it linguistically separates biological biological sex from socially constructed categories of woman and man, which undermines heteronormativity, which is critical to defending patriarchal sex roles and procreation. It is not surprising that those who have garnered dominance and privilege from traditional gender roles feel compelled to lash out.
I love the way she worded. Okay, so this is the other thing. So the biological sex argument, people like to, because you know how like TERFs will be like, well, you're biologically a man and whatever. I try not to use the word biological because I feel like people that need to understand trans people like kind of cling on to the, well, you're biologically different. But you are biologically more like me than you are a man by a shit ton. There's obviously some differences. Nobody's arguing that there's not. But also, you're more like me than any man. And the thing that freaks out transphobes is trans people existing breaks down the gender roles that are placed upon us that are used to control us.
Yeah.
You're literally going from, I was assigned this gender at birth and it's not right for me.
Yeah.
That lived experience breaks down our entire system. Because if that is a true lived experience, nobody has to live in these roles that they don't want.
Right.
And they hate that.
Yeah.
Especially people like Elon Musk.
And patriarchy completely breaks down.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk has bought into a lot of fucking lies about procreation and gender and
Did
patriarchy.
IVF with all of his kids to avoid having a fucking daughter.
Yeah.
And ended up with one anyways.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that when we get to our favorite word, autogynephilia, at the end.
Yes.
That's gonna come up again. Don't you worry. But yeah, I loved that quote. A+. A+ to Dana Leyland DeFosse. What an ally.
Yep. She's great.
Yeah, that's basically what I got on cis and trans and where those words came from and what they mean and all that.
Okay.
You ready to move on to our next little section?
Yes.
AMAB and AFAB?
Yes.
Okay. AMAB and AFAB. AMAB is assigned male at birth. AFAB is assigned female at birth. I know that you know this. Maybe our audience doesn't know this. Probably our audience does know this.
I feel like a good chunk of them do, yeah.
But some things that I didn't know is that this is an evolution of KMAB.
What is KMAB?
Which is CAMAB, which is a term that originated in online trans communities in the early 2000s. This term was created by trans people, and it means coercively assigned male at birth.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was a terminology that they invented. KFAB came later, but eventually trans men joined the community and were like, we like that. Yeah, we're going to use that too. Basically, they were trying to avoid the general rhetoric that surrounds the way people talk about us, such as born a man, born a woman, or the MTF, like male to female, like the way that, like so many cis people I know, well-meaning cis people are constant, like I know when they're telling people about me, like, oh yeah, my friend MTF, like male to female.
Yeah.
It's like, I did not change from male to female. I was assigned male. That was something that society put upon me.
Yes.
But I was female then as well.
Yes.
So I don't align with, and I don't relate to, and I certainly don't identify with male to female. I certainly don't identify with biological male, which fucking TERFs love to call me online all of the time, or genetically male.
People say that?
People, yes. Nowadays, like the fucking Nazis.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like eugenics talk. Yeah.
Yes. All of this at the end of the day comes down to the same gross little group of white supremacists
Sydney
who also
Sweeney
hate
has
gay
good
people.
genes.
Yes.
That
who
shit.
need to look at things genetically, even though we didn't know anything about genetics 30 years ago. It's such a new thing, and all these racists have just leapt on and clung to this ideology, and we'll talk about this more later in this episode.
So the first trans person I ever met was this girl I went to high school with, and I was like pretty transphobic back then, just from a place of not understanding. I'm not
society was. I was transphobic as a kid.
Yeah, I want to tell this story in an honest way, so people aren't hearing this part of the story and going, "You were a great ally." No, I wasn't. I was not a good ally back in 2010 when I met my first trans person, but I did go to support meetings with her. I actually learned a lot from going to those meetings with all of her trans people in that community, even though a lot of those things I learned didn't click until a couple years later after that. But one thing I remember them talking about when you're referring to somebody who is trans, like say a trans woman or a trans man, they had said, I don't remember if it was specific to the United States or if they had said there were certain countries where if you talked about a trans woman, you would call them a trans man, saying they were a man that transitioned a woman, and vice versa. And in the United States, they had changed it so that it was, you're referring to them as the gender they've transitioned to.
Right.
But I remember some of the like older trans people in the group saying there was a time where if you were trans, people would refer to you as your birth sex
assigned
that you were.
gender,
Your assigned gender.
One.
So even the male to female, female to male thing was even a big progressive.
Totally. Yeah.
That, even there was progress within that.
Because again, these terms were born in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
On the internet.
Yeah.
Because people were sick of that shit.
Yeah. I would love to live in a world where if you meet a trans person, you just don't even talk about it. Unless it comes up, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm trans.
It really doesn't need to be a thing.
It doesn't. It's the same thing with being gay. Like if you're gay, cool, you're gay.
Like
cool.
And then you just go out and you meet a girl on the street, you're going to be like, what's it like to be a girl?
Yeah.
It's not a conversation that makes fucking sense to have. Yeah. It's not something that comes up normally. Yeah. Like most of the time you're going to meet me in public is like at a school or at a fucking magic card shop.
Yeah.
Like just talk to me about that.
Yeah.
It true. Nothing else fucking matters.
Talk to Chloe about the Catholic Church.
Talk to me about the Catholic Church. Yeah. Bring it up. I'll happily talk
movies.
about it.
This bitch knows about movies.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'll have deep conversations about
Wisconsin
movies.
and why
I'll talk about
sucks.
capitalism. I'll talk about I don't need to talk about being a woman. Most people never get questioned about it.
Yeah.
It's merely a thing that is accepted about them.
Yeah.
Are people ever testing how woman you are in your life?
I mean, I'm not really the best person to ask for that.
Outside of work? Are they? Where?
I've been
Men are like, are you really a woman? Prove it.
I mean, they don't say shit like they don't say shit like that.
Well, that's what I mean.
I have specifically had men kind of talk down to me because I'm too tall or my voice is a little too low when I'm talking. Like I've had guys like mock the tone of my voice while I'm talking. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? So things like that.
But that's just making fun of you, or are they just like accusing you of being trans?
They're not accusing me of being trans. They're accusing me of being too masculine and it's unattractive to them. So like as a cis woman, like it's not the shit that trans women are dealing with. I am not trying to compare it to that at all. But I have throughout my life been treated weird by dudes because I have certain features or I have certain interests or something that isn't considered feminine and it's not attracted to them. So they're going to like make fun of me for it or be like, bro.
Well, that's different than even what I'm talking about, which is like going out and having people be like, well, prove you're a woman then. Like,
oh no, I haven't.
And it's usually women asking, like, "Are you?" Oh,
like TERFs on the.
You think you're a woman? Okay. Well, like, have you ever had a period? And it's like, well,
I hate when they do that because there are plenty
but I'm
of
also
cis
not
women.
Gonna fucking say that to you.
Yeah. But when they say that too, they're confusing menstruation with like having a period, like a hormonal cycle too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're doing that as a gotcha, and it's like, there are cis women that don't have periods.
Yeah, there sure are.
There are cis women that can't have kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
But yeah, outside of the club, I haven't been like transvestigated.
Right.
So there's that.
That's what I mean. It's like, it's not a normal conversation to have.
No, it's not. And it's weird. And it should stop. It's weird.
Yes. And you're only doing it with us because you got your feelings up. But like, talk to me like you would any other woman.
I do want to say most of the time I interact with transphobes, it is cis men. But also when it is cis women doing it, it comes from a place of jealousy. Almost every single time.
Makes sense.
Anytime a cis girl brings up trans women and starts being transphobic, They're doing it like it'll be like, oh, like my ex like fucked a trans girl and blah blah blah, and like what's wrong with him? He doesn't want a real woman, like weird shit like that. And I'm like, you're insecure because that bitch looked better than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean.
it's just some weird jealousy shit.
Considering everything that you're saying right now, I think it's very nice that our next word is TERF.
Perfect. Let's get into it. Let's get into it, okay?
Although, I mean, I still have a lot more shit to say about AMAB, AFAB.
Okay, go.
Yeah. I'm on our second word right now. Lately, some people have been pushing for another change to the AMAB, AFAB terminology so that the assigned gender is not a part of it, so that it is no longer apparent when someone is called AMAB or AFAB what their genitals are. This has been generally pushed for by the intersex community
I was just
and
about
the
to say,
non-binary community.
yeah, that checks out. Because you could be intersex and be trans, and also like I feel like people do determine what a person's genitals are with that, and it's like that's not always true either. So why are we
Right.
even bringing
Exactly.
that up?
So, non-binary intersex people who are rejecting the AMAB and AFAB labels for giving out personal information that they don't want are pushing for the new term DSAB for designated sex at birth.
Okay.
You can refer to someone as having a different DSAB without necessarily referring to what that is.
Wait, so it would be designated sex at birth,
That's the term, DSAB.
and it would like be different from like what genitals they actually have, or like what do you mean it would be?
That would be it.
Okay.
If you're referring in any way to their gender or like some amount of like their sex, you would just refer to it as DSAB.
Okay.
Rather than saying someone was AMAB, you would say they have a DSAB. Their DSAB was male.
And that's more like inclusive of intersex people, and also kind of keeps people out of people's business of what's in their pants kind of thing.
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
It's a way you can use a term without saying what the designated sex at birth is. You can just say DSAB because everyone
Okay.
has one, right?
So it would be leaving out even just the details of it.
Yes. Yes. There would be no M or F involved.
So you could just refer to a person with they had a DSAB and you don't know what it is, and that's
It's still new. Like, it's
Yeah.
not something that's been sort of adopted. How it would fit into language is still being worked out or whatever.
yeah.
But for right now, beginning of 2026, this is what's being tried out.
New terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's also a common misconception spread online about where these terms came from.
Okay.
So the TERFs are pushing a false narrative on the internet that the AMAB AFAB terminology was invented exclusively for intersex people with ambiguous genitalia, so that they can further their narrative that trans existence is and always has been a form of cultural appropriation. So they're basically saying AMAB and AFAB are only for intersex people, and if anyone else is using it, you're culturally appropriating intersex people. That's basically the argument. And they've created these fake websites. There's literally have created fake websites from fake intersex people being like, we hate that trans people use these terms. We invented them for us and us only, and no one else can use them. And then they use it as a source when they're like saying some bullshit online, and people are like, do you have a source for this? They'll link to their own fucking website.
And this is why we call them trans exclusionary radical feminists, because I feel like groups like this take concepts from like progressives and like a lot of their terminology and phrases and things they say and use that to like oppress people. Like, oh, you're appropriating this other group. Like, what do you mean? What?
Yeah.
And like, I know they didn't talk to intersex people about it. It's just they're so motivated to exclude trans people. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
They're bending over backwards.
To try. This is the thing that pisses me off about it too. Excluding trans people keeps patriarchy alive.
Yeah.
It like because that is they can always use trans people as a scapegoat for as long as they're oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these TERFs are working against themselves. And then on top of that, I'm like, out of all of the things you could care about Out of all of the topics you could choose to focus your energy on, you're choosing to oppress this very small group of people that are going through hell right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weirdo behavior.
Yeah.
And it's working against yourself.
Yeah.
I
well,
say
they
this
don't
in
know that.
every episode when we discuss this, but it's just so fucking irritating. And then they're using, like, I don't want to call it woke speak, but that's what it sounds like. You're culturally appropriating intersex people. What do you fucking mean? I bet you didn't ask a single intersex person about that, you dumb bitch. Like,
Well, as Dana Leyland DeFosse said so succinctly, those who have garnered dominance and privilege from traditional gender roles feel compelled to lash out.
this is the thing.
If you have benefited-
So this is another thing I want to point out. Okay, wait. It's mostly white women doing this. It is mostly cis white women. I'm not saying women of cis women of color do this, but it is cis white women are like at the forefront of the TERF shit.
It's people who have garnered privilege.
And they do the same thing with white privilege, where it's like, I'm a woman and my men treat me like shit, but I'm going to use the fact that I'm white to.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on a lot of this in the Karen episode, in my opinions on this. But like,
certainly,
there is a thing that happens with these bitches where they'll hold on to the little bit of privilege they have instead of just uplifting everyone else. So that way we don't have the hierarchy, and it pisses me off.
Yeah. Because they like their position. They like
trans people are appropriating the assigned at birth gender thing. Fuck you.
Because they know that they don't actually have any skills. And if society was fair, they wouldn't be in the number 2 position.
They wouldn't be able to fuck their stupid, ugly, do-nothing husband that at least pays their mortgage.
They just know that they have no other purpose.
Yeah.
And no other use.
And that's not it's not my problem. It's
And
natural
they're like,
selection,
I'd rather
bitch.
just hang on to my privilege than allow equality to come forth.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So let's talk about the fucking TERFs.
Let's do it.
It stands for, as you just said, Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. These people took offense to the fact that it exists as a term. They decided that it is also a slur, and so they coined the term gender critical, and they call themselves that instead. The only reason we have the term gender critical is because the TERFs decided TERF was a slur and decided they needed a new name for themselves.
I want to make slurs for these bitches, like stock pussy ass bitches or something. Like,
well, there has been a push for fart. Feminist.
Sorry. Wait, is this an actual?
Yes.
Okay.
People are loving this word. It stands for feminist appropriating reactionary transphobe.
I'm calling them farts from now
They are
on.
farts.
They'll appreciate the TERF and cis terms after
hey,
that.
you said TERF was a slur. I'm not calling you the slur.
We're
just
giving
a
you
fart.
a real one now.
Yeah.
You're just a fart,
You're
bitch.
a fart. You're a fart.
Just
And
talking
that's
out your
fine.
ass.
Yeah. A feminist appropriating reactionary transphobe. Yes, people have rebranded the rebrand. They're like, fine, we're not a TERF, but you can't be a gender critical. You're a fart.
This is another thing I want to say too.
I can't wait.
You know how I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of side commentary, but like
Got a lot of feelings.
I know, it's just these people piss me off because we could be getting somewhere as a whole if we stopped with this shit.
Yes.
But I wanted to point out as well, all of the like radical left and the crazy, a lot of that stems from these people.
Well, we'll talk about where
When
they
I
came
think
from.
of the
yeah.
stereotype that conservatives use to be like, the left is crazy, I think of like a TERF.
Yeah.
They're insane. They're emotional, just like the right, but in a different way. And it's men as well. There's a lot of men that are like on the left, but they're misogynistic. It's men and it's white women specifically.
Yeah. To give a little bit more background in definition, these words, all of these words, refer to a specific set of feminists who advocate only for trans exclusion. Their brand of feminism entirely boils down to a fear and a hatred of men and a belief that women should have designated spaces, such as bathrooms, conferences, bars, concerts, that are 100% free of men. And because they believed trans women are men and trans men are not, they advocate for trans men to be allowed in those spaces and trans women not to be. Yes. Yes. TERFs are happy to accept trans men in their women-only spaces because they don't think trans men are men.
Have you seen trans men?
They literally boil it down to the genitals. And they're like, if you have a vagina, you're welcome in our space.
It doesn't matter if that guy has a coochie. He could beat the fucking shit out of you.
I know. It doesn't make any sense. These people don't make any sense.
I didn't realize these bitches fucking...
They make posts about it all the time.
A lot of this comes from a place of not seeing trans people as the gender that they are.
Yeah. Society at large does not
And this makes
see
it...
us as that.
I'm sorry, but if a trans dude is in the bathroom, I don't care even if he passes or not. If I see somebody who looks like a fucking dude in my bathroom, I'm going to assume you're a dude, and I'm going to be like, what the fuck? And these bitches want that guy in my bathroom.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. For her safety. He probably won't feel safe in there either.
Yeah, because then, if someone outs him and then he can go to jail.
Yeah.
But also, like, why would you want... I am friends with trans dudes. I love them to death. Most of the, like, really great dudes I know are trans guys. I do not want to be changing with them in a bathroom.
Yeah.
They're pumped full of testosterone. They're horny sluts like the rest of the men.
Everyone I know who has been on T has complained about how horny they are all the time.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
And everyone I know who's on estrogen is like, my sex drive is gone. I don't even find people attractive anymore,
Yeah. And also the physical strength goes up. Like, that's what it really boils down to.
Yes.
You want a bearded trans man in your bathroom with you, but you don't want the fucking trans bitch?
They want the bearded trans man to come to the feminist convention center and talk about his experiences having a vagina.
And it's really fetishizey too. A lot of the like lesbians that are like, trans men can be lesbians, and like, I'm a lesbian and I like trans guys and that's it. And I'm like, you're fetishizing this guy because of his genitals right now.
Literally, just accept that you're
it's
bisexual.
It's no different than the cis straight guys that are fetishizing trans women for having dicks.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. There was a recent poll that I read. TERFdom runs deep in the lesbian community.
It does.
And I think it's partially because a lot of lesbians, especially older lesbians, grew up in a world where everyone was constantly telling them, how do you know you're a lesbian if you never took a dick? And so they literally equate dick to not a lesbian.
And this is the thing. Most trans women don't use their dicks.
Correct.
Like, yeah, you might meet a trans woman that has a dick and wants to use it, and then you're not sexually compatible.
Right.
But the majority of them don't use it. They have bottom dysphoria.
But they don't want to hear that either.
No, they don't. How the fuck do you look at a trans man as a lesbian, as someone who's not attracted to men, and go, oh yeah, I'd fuck that. I don't care what they have going on in their pants. That's a man.
Yeah.
Your encounter with the trans guy is going to be having sex with a man.
Yep.
And you're doing mental gymnastics to make yourself feel like you're not bisexual, because we hate bisexuals. And it's the same thing with straight dudes. There are straight dudes that'll argue in the comment section that like, oh, well, you're still a woman because you have a pussy. Like, it's like, oh, so you would fuck this guy? You're a bisexual or whatever you are. And that's fine. But you're trying to make this whole thing confusing because you hate yourself for what you're into. You are so afraid of being bisexual, like it's the filthiest thing you could fucking be.
Yeah. You can even accept that you're like 5% bisexual and 95% lesbian. Like, the spectrum exists. That's the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
The spectrum exists.
I will give them this. Anytime I've been in a relationship with another woman and we go out in public, because I date other femmes, guys will approach us. We say we're together. They don't respect that because they don't see us as a real thing and they want to sexualize us. I understand where the pushback kind of comes from of like, what if men see me as this? But also, that's not an issue with trans people. That is an issue with cis men, like everything fucking is.
I have no notes.
Why don't we all band together and shit on cis men until they fucking stop acting like assholes about everything?
I would love to.
It's okay to accept trans men into the community, but like putting that label on them as a lesbian is not only misgendering them and just disrespecting their whole identity, but it also makes us look crazy and confused.
Yeah.
And also, if you're attracted to trans men as a lesbian, you're bisexual, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine to be a little bi.
You could be a bisexual that doesn't like penetration that much or whatever.
Can I continue?
Yes.
Do you have more? Do you have a wrap-up point?
I felt like I wrapped it up as best as I could.
I feel like you did too.
Yeah.
Okay. The word TERF shows up online / in print for the first time in the year 2008.
Okay.
In a blog by a cis woman
Okay.
named Viv Smythe.
Okay.
She wrote a follow-up blog in 2018, 10 years later, saying, look, I didn't invent the term. Everyone credits me with inventing the term. I'm merely the first person to write it on a website that still exists.
Okay.
Right? She's like, I didn't make it up. Trans people made it up. It's existed for a long time. I don't know who made it up. It was probably a team effort. If you search the internet, the earliest you'll find it is my blog.
Remember when the internet was a place where you didn't have a digital footprint and stuff could be deleted?
Yes.
I'll never get my MySpace account back, and I'm sad about that.
It is sad.
I can't get rid of my Facebook. So
Yeah. So TERFs, gender criticals, farts, whatever you want to call them,
they're farts.
100% of their activism is devoted not to helping women acquire rights and freedoms for themselves, which is what you would think a feminist would be doing, but instead pushing a bizarre blend of patriarchal normativity, which is the belief that women need men to protect them, and girl boss empowerment, which is that women can do no wrong and the only evil is men, fueled almost exclusively by an obsession with defining womanhood, which for some reason always seems to boil down to genetics, eugenics, and patriarchal ideology.
Nazi ideology.
Nazi ideology. Viv, in the 2008 blog, which is the first place that existed online, she points out in that blog that TERF is probably the wrong word for these people because their views are far too essentialist to be considered feminist, let alone radical feminist.
Yeah.
She, at the time, proposed TES,
What does that stand for?
trans exclusionary separatists.
Yeah.
Because her whole point was like, these people have been at our feminist meetings. They seem to generally align with everything that we say at the feminist meetings. They're happy to join up. They're happy to help us throw the events. They're happy to work with us until we say we should let trans people come. As soon as that happens, they fully separate to a separate side of the room, all of them versus all of us. All of us, the people who are like, why can't trans women come? And all of them who are like, we are different from you. And that is crossing a line for us.
I want to make a point off of this. So feminism originally, I follow a lot of Black creators, specifically Black women, right? A lot of Black women see feminism, because feminism was rooted in white feminism.
Sure.
Which back in the day, it was white women want our rights, but we're going to exclude women of color.
Suffragettes.
I believe this is the same ideology from back then when it was white women want our rights, Black women and everyone else, they can just suffer, but like we want to be able to do shit because we're white women. I believe this is the same exact ideology being applied to trans women now.
I found some articles making that point.
It is, yeah. And I'm very, when someone calls themselves a feminist in real life or online, I'm very wary about like, what kind of feminist are you? Because there is I'm superior because I'm white. I'm superior because I'm cis. I'm superior because I'm straight. You know, you get a lot of that and it's very specific of straight white women. And they tend to be at the forefront of the TERF shit. So it's just history repeating itself, but instead of doing it with women of color, now it's a bunch of excluding trans women from it. It's that superiority fucking bullshit.
To wrap up the little TERF section, I will end with a quote by Viv Smythe, where she was arguing essentially with the women in the feminist communities who were pushing for exclusion of trans people. She said, marginalizing trans women at actual risk from regularly documented abuse and violence in favor of protecting hypothetical cis women from hypothetical abuse or violence from trans women in women's only safe spaces strikes me as horribly unethical and repellently callous.
Yep.
Let's go. Snaps for Viv.
Yeah.
I was very happy to find all these cis allies doing this research.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially ones that go like way back in the day.
To the beginning.
We exist.
We've existed a whole fucking long time.
They're just not loud enough on the internet. There's not enough of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the dudes who run the internet have
tried to suppress
done their best to make it so no one knows about y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next section.
Okay.
We are going to talk about the term birthing person.
Okay.
pregnant person, chest feeding.
This really pisses off the conservatives. I know that.
Oh, yes, it does. Okay, so
Yeah.
you generally know what they mean.
I feel like it's common sense. Just
Makes
hearing
sense.
it at face value.
Yeah.
People make it complicated, but you know.
The reason I wanted to talk about this in this episode, and this is honestly the thing that made me want to do this episode in general, is because I saw Anna Kasparian. Do you know who she is?
I know the name. Who is
She was on the Young Turks. She had that like,
Yes, that's what I do know who this is.
and her show was honestly like one of the first like YouTube political shows I remember ever
On the
encountering.
left, yeah.
And I remember like as a 20-year-old watching it and being like, I agree with like some of the stuff they're saying, you know?
So the Young Turks are kind of the definition. If you go too far left, you just end up right, sort of a thing. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So like lately she's been sort of making headlines for being really, really pro-Palestine.
Okay.
I've been like generally pretty supportive of her Palestine posts, and I didn't know anything about what she's ever said about trans people or whatever. So I was like reposting them, and some trans people were like, hey,
Yeah.
just so you know, she's really transphobic. And I was like, really? Okay. Well, I decided to look into that. And she literally slipped from trans ally to TERF almost overnight, which tells me she probably wasn't ever actually an ally. But she basically slipped from ally to TERF overnight when she had her baby and had to check paperwork in the hospital saying birthing person. She went on tirades online saying, I'm not a pregnant person, I'm a woman. Why are we trying to remove womanhood from women?
This is the other thing. I understand that a lot of issues with the medical industry and giving birth affects mostly women. I understand that. But trans men also can give birth. And also
Yes.
I do know there's one trans guy I follow. His name is Sasha. He made a series of videos about when he was trying to go to the gynecologist. And he would explain that he was a trans man and needed to see a gynecologist. And he would have doctors act confused and just hang up on him, or like act like they get it like worse in some scenarios because of the transphobia.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's like some things with being perceived as a man where it kind of like helps you, but like overall, like it is important to include these people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from you being a woman if a trans guy also can give birth and they give you who cares?
Yeah.
I also believe women like that believe that their one only power is the fact that they can give birth, and they'll hold on to that. Because it like deep down inside they feel inferior as a woman.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, well, if men can do this too, then there's nothing powerful about me. But it's kind of like a self-hatred thing, I feel like, when women do this whole thing of like, well,
It's just buying into the patriarchal definition of woman.
and the gender roles that are placed
Because
upon
men
us.
are telling you all the time that that's your only role in society is to
Yeah.
birth children and clean the fucking house. Like,
And even if that's not your only role and you believe that, I think a lot of women cling on to, well, I can make life. And that's the one thing that makes me better than than men. But like if men can do it too, and they feel like it like deteriorates, but it's like you have power in other things than just birthing a person.
yeah. So in my research, I found a couple of stories of trans men who have faced basically that type of trouble. So,
Oh, did you?
yeah.
I can't wait. Okay.
So in 2008, Oprah had a trans man on her show. His name was Thomas Beatty. And are you remembering this at all?
Yes.
Basically, her argument was, you're not a man. Oprah had this man on the show and was like, you're not a man. My evidence, you had a baby. She went so far as to go interview his doctors about the health of the fetus, the viability of the child, because she was like, this isn't right. Only women can have babies. This man is not a man. This is a woman pretending to be. She did this whole fucking transphobic special on this man.
We used to praise Oprah, and for what?
Had him come on the show so that she could question him as to the truth about his gender. And like literally the whole episode was an attack. Like he thought he was coming on to talk about, because he'd been in the news. It was like in the media, like the world's first pregnant man, which wasn't true because there had been pregnant trans men before that. It was just the first one that the media heard about. So she had him on the show. He thought he was going to talk about being the world's first pregnant man or whatever. he gets on the show and she's like, you're actually here to talk about how you're a woman and you're actually not a man, and you need to stop saying you're a man because this takes away from womanhood and manhood and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was this whole fucking thing.
How dare she say that to the seahorse dads?
Know. Then there was another person,
Okay.
Freddie McConnell.
Okay.
This is a person who's still pretty active right now. This happened in like 2018.
Okay.
Freddie McConnell gave birth to a child in the UK.
Okay.
The United Kingdom High Court denied him legal recognition of fatherhood of the child because they decided he's not a man, so he can't be the kid's father. And he's like, but I am. And they're like, nope, because you specifically birthed a child, the legal definition is you're his mother. Therefore, you, Freddie, are the mother of this child.
I bet he had a fucking beard and all that too.
He looks like such a fucking guy.
Yeah.
And he's very active on social media, so like you could look him up pretty easily. But yeah, they forced him to list himself as the mother of the child.
So this is another thing. When I think of the words father and mother, I think of immediately gender roles. People are so afraid of change.
Yeah.
I would be okay with us just not specifying gender in our language. I think it's unnecessary. It would be like if we specified race in our language. Every time you referred to a white person, you made it known that they're a white person that you're talking. Why do we refer to somebody's gender when we're talking about them? It's kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not all languages do that. And then some languages do it more. Spanish, like if somebody is drunk, you specify that they are a woman that's drunk.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels unnecessary.
It is. It absolutely is. Because then there's language, like most East Asian languages just don't ever mention it.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I feel like we would see people more as people if we weren't referring to external things about them that didn't matter when talking to them or about them.
Yes.
Because language matters. Like when it's like if I call somebody a stupid bitch every day, they're gonna feel like a stupid. You know what I mean? Like it's to reinforce a role onto a person. That's
Correct.
what it is.
That's correct.
And then this poor fucking bastard, he's this kid's dad. And then on paper, it's like, imagine if he shows up to like do some paperwork and they're like, why does it say you're the mom? It's confusing. All of this shit is
that was his argument. And he's like, his whole thing is like pushing for these laws to change.
Yeah.
But then there's J.K. Rowling out there pushing for them to be more strict about these same laws. And like, she has a lot more money than he does.
It's just confusing because people decide these arguments based on like, I think I can always tell when someone's trans. You can't. I know trans women that have kids, and if they pulled up somewhere with their kid and it said on paper they were the father of the kid, the person would be like, what the fuck? What? Who fucked your paperwork up?
Literally.
And then it would become an entire conversation where they might have to out themselves, and it's not fucking necessary.
It's not your fucking business.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Literally.
Yeah. Anyways.
These terms, birthing person, pregnant person, blah, 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 these terms have been used in medical settings since the early 2020s.
Okay.
So they're still pretty recent, but they basically started in hospitals. Like hospitals created them
That checks out. Yeah.
to identify what type of care to give a patient that might not be applicable based on checking just their gender on the intake form.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes sense that it happened in the early 2020s because that would have been right after COVID, right after a whole fucking bunch of us came out.
Yeah.
And a whole, suddenly a whole influx of new people were going to the hospital, probably with COVID.
Y'all really did all come out at the same fucking time.
Just checking all these boxes and confusing the fuck out of the nurses. And so they invented some new boxes.
Yeah,
that
to
were
make
like,
it less
are you a
complicated.
birthing person or not?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
also, like, certain medications are unhealthy to give to a birthing person versus a non-birthing person.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for something like COVID. These terms were created for hospitals to give proper patient care without causing emotional distress to the patients.
Yeah. Yeah.
The National Library of Medicine. This is a government website. It was a doctor or like a group of doctors who wrote this document. They were explaining why it made sense to create more inclusive and affirming terminology within the hospitals. So they wrote, physicians used to judge whether a person was truly trans by their willingness to abandon their children in order to medically transition. So they'd literally be like, "Oh yeah, you want to transition? Would you abandon your child to do so?" And if the parent said no, they'd be like, "Well, then you're not really trans, then are you?" That was 20th century doctors.
Which is insane.
20th century doctors were like fucking rude as hell to us.
A lot of our shit in like psychological and also just medical health is outdated, and it's okay if it grows, and people love to push against it.
People hate change. That's just, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah.
People hate change.
And it's important. Sometimes change is very good and necessary.
Yeah. So the doctors said, using gender inclusive language extends an olive branch from the medical community to this often stigmatized population, signaling a small act of reconciliation. It's quite literally the least you could do for forcing people to abandon their children if they wanted to transition, or not letting them transition if they refused to abandon their children.
Yeah.
So this term started to become mainstream and started to turn all these allies into transphobes.
Yeah.
In 2022, or no, it was 2021, when Cori Bush, you remember her? She was a Missouri representative Democrat. She's no longer in office, probably because of this. I think they probably ran a bunch of hate campaigns.
I don't know if I recall this person.
She used the word birthing people in a hearing on healthcare. The video exploded all over social media. People had a lot of feelings.
I'm sure.
And then also, Biden's 2022 budget proposal included the word birthing person in the healthcare section. It was written into the budget.
Okay.
And people were livid.
Like all the problems in the world, and this is what you want to get mad about. Are you fucking serious?
People just were literally wanted to be mad at him for anything.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of reasons to be mad at him. This is not one of them.
I hated Biden.
Yeah, Biden sucked.
But what were the other options here?
Yeah. The people who understand the term were like, we're being inclusive. And the people who are basically the gender criticals, like, how dare you reduce women down to our role in birthing babies? And it's like, well, fucking you guys started it. So
yeah. And the birthing person does not put people down. It doesn't diminish.
No one's taking woman away from anyone.
Yeah.
Because you can be both a woman and a birthing person. Or you can be one of those and not the other.
Yeah.
Or you can be neither of those things.
Yeah.
No one is saying you're not a woman anymore if you're a birthing person.
Yeah.
Because you can, in fact, be a birthing person and a woman. And you could also be a birthing person and not a woman.
You can be a person that does not give birth and also a woman.
Yes, you can.
You can be a cis woman.
There's a lot of
and
options.
not be able to give birth.
There's a lot of crossovers.
But bitches that do this shit, though, like, oh, they're trying to take away from womanhood. I'm like, that's not womanhood.
Yeah.
Yes, most people that can give birth tend to be women. But there are women that can't give birth that are also still women.
And there's men who give birth.
There are women that... I am a woman that does not want to give birth ever. I would rather jump off a building.
I feel that.
I can. I will never do it. I'm still a woman.
No arguments here.
Yeah, me being a woman has nothing to do with the fact that I have a portal between my legs that can bring a person here. That has nothing to do with it.
Sometimes having a tremendous power means exercising great responsibility. And sometimes that means not bringing a person through the portal.
Yes, or sometimes it's just taking care of your mental health. I would not be okay as
it's taking
a
care of your
parent.
mental health.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where birthing person came from. That's why it exists. Doctors invented it because they were trying to be nicer to trans people because they used to be really fucking mean to us.
Yeah.
It's basically the story.
And there's still a lot of that.
It's still going around. There's still a lot of evil doctors out there. We'll talk about some pretty soon.
Oh, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. So our next little section, we are going to talk about the difference between non-binary, gender fluid,
yes,
gender non-conforming,
yes,
genderqueer,
yes,
genderfuck.
I don't know about that, but let's find out.
Okay.
Genderfuck sounds fun. I like it already.
So genderfuck is basically just the people who are like, fuck gender. My gender is fuck you. My gender is I'm going out of my way to confuse you on purpose.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's genderfuck.
I like
that's
genderfuck.
My gender is I'm going to actively and intentionally be both or neither, or all of the above, or some genders you ain't never heard of because they don't even exist. Gender fuck you.
That's punk rock. I like that one.
It is. It's very punk rock. Some people have very strong feelings about a lot of these words. So generally speaking, common courtesy is don't use them on people if they haven't told you that that's what they identify with. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossover between these words, right? There's a lot of them mean similar things. So like just because someone is one thing, like some people act or like I really, really strongly identify with this one and I really, really hate this other one that is 90% crossover. You know, like it's individual to the person.
Yeah.
But we're just here to explain what they generally mean.
Okay.
So gender non-conforming just means you do not fit all of the stereotypes associated with your gender. It is not an identity.
And I just wanted to say, I believe realistically, if we got rid of gender roles, most people would identify with that because we made it up.
Exactly the point I was going to make.
Very few people are 100% happy identifying with every masculine, stereotype and vice versa with feminine stereotypes. Most people are not happy there.
Yeah.
Because we made this shit up. So
yeah. Many, many cis people are gender non-conforming.
Yes. And that is okay.
If I do something ever that isn't feminine, I'm technically being gender non-conforming.
Yeah.
That's just what it means.
Yep.
It's not an identity. People get all hyped up online because they're like, it's another new gender. It's like, no, it literally is just words that mean something. Like, fucking relax. Gender fluid typically means someone whose gender changes over time.
Yeah.
Sometimes based on the situation, sometimes by the day, sometimes weekly, sometimes based on the moon, sometimes based on menstrual cycles. It's in flux. And having done the Indigenous episode makes me think it just means that they're more attuned to the spirit energy going through our universe at any given time.
Yes.
Gender is fluctuating because the energy is fluctuating.
Yeah.
So that's what gender fluid means. There's also, I wrote down a few other ones that I didn't even put in the title, but agender.
Okay.
Do you know what agender means?
It is the absence of gender, correct?
Yes. It
They
means
identify with neither?
no gender, genderless, or a very strong feeling of gender that is fully outside of the known gender spectrum.
Okay.
That last one could also be referred to as Aporagender.
A what now?
Apora.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I didn't look up the prefix apora.
Got you.
But Aporagender is a newer term that refers to a gender that is very strongly felt and is very specific, but is neither masculine nor feminine nor anywhere in between, but is from somewhere else.
I want to meet that kind of person.
I think I have.
Have you?
I think I've met one person.
Have I met that person?
No. This was ages ago, and I only met them one time.
We'll talk about this after the episode.
And it was a trip.
I bet. I'm fascinated with that concept.
I've never met a person more confident in who they were
Yeah. I feel like
and had no fucking clue what was going on.
I feel that.
I was like, you don't fit into any box I've ever created, ever. And you seem so comfortable. And it's magnetic.
People like that, I feel like for you to just really be like, all of this is bullshit and it isn't me at all, and just be like, this is me and it's fine. I respect people like that.
Yeah.
If you're doing nobody harm and you're just like, I am not any of these things, I am my own thing, and you just sit with that and you're like, this is me, I don't give a fuck. I respect that.
Yeah.
Do you?
Like, so it just came to mind for me. Did you ever see Dodgeball?
If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball. Yes, I don't remember it super well. I watched
Do
it
you
one time,
remember that there is a character in the film who believes he is a pirate?
Yes. Yes.
So I think you could maybe argue that that is Aporagender.
You know what? Yeah.
Because it's not masculine, it's not feminine, it's pirate.
Yeah.
It's very specific, and he's very committed to it.
I respect that. And you know what? You're right. We got to watch Dodgeball.
Steve the pirate. So I'm sorry if that's offensive to any Aporagender people out there, but some of them might be like, actually, it's pretty good.
Yeah, there might be one that might be like, "Arr, matey, I am a pirate. That is me gender.
Yeah.
Shiver me gender."
It's the only thing I've ever seen in life that made me feel whole, you know?
Shiver Me Gender would be a fun podcast name if we were only
Yeah.
we could dress up as pirates and do this.
Shiver me gender.
Shiver Me Gender.
Shiver me genders. Anyway, next we have non-binary, which usually means having a fixed gender that is somewhere in between man and woman.
The spectrum, yeah.
It's usually not one that fluctuates. It's more like it is what it is, much like most, binary gender people.
They wake up feeling a percentage of each in a spectrum.
They're like, look,
every day.
I am in this exact spot and I'm always in this exact spot. I'm 70% man, 30% woman.
Yeah,
I don't know what
or
to
whatever
tell
it
you,
is,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah, exactly. And then there is genderqueer, which is again not an identity. It is more an umbrella term for any or all of these people. Basically just means not cis.
Yeah.
Genderqueer is
Falls under the umbrella.
You're genderqueer. Some people would be very offended if you called them genderqueer, even if they are,
yeah, for
not
sure.
cis.
Yeah.
A lot of trans people specifically might not necessarily
Yeah.
vibe with genderqueer.
Binary trans
because they're like,
people.
no, I am my gender. It's not queer. Woman isn't queer. It's normal. It's just, but like, ugh.
There was a video, I watch a lot of Kat Black, and she's on TikTok now, but she made a video not too long ago saying she is a trans woman who is also heterosexual and a binary trans woman. And she made a video explaining that she doesn't identify as queer because she is a binary woman who is also heterosexual. And she said she loves her queer friends. She's in a way a part of the community, but she doesn't identify as that, which makes sense because
Sure.
you're falling into the binary extreme
Right.
with sexuality and gender. So it would make sense that like maybe that's not for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone has their different things,
Yeah. I didn't do a bunch of research on like where these words originated or whatever, because like it's a lot of words, and they all basically originated in the queer community. It's just people trying to find terminology that makes them feel happy.
Yeah.
Some of these words are coming and going. Some of these words might not exist anymore by the time this episode even comes out.
Yeah.
There might be some new ones. There's pages devoted to all the different types of gender words that exist. We're in the early stages of naming the rainbow.
I also feel like people are discovering themselves right now because this has probably been the best time in modern human history for people that don't fit into the roles that are placed upon us to explore themselves. And so we're experimenting with vocabulary, but I feel like conservatives and TERFs and everybody else likes to point out, all of these terminologies and all these different genders, and you're so confusing. And it's like, it's really not confusing if you're talking to a person and they just kind of explain themselves to you and you just respect it. It's simple. And like, yeah, the language changes, and we're making sense of all of this because this has been one of the only times in modern human history where trans people have been able to verbalize what they're experiencing and try to make sense of it all. Let them try to make sense of it all.
Facts.
Just why are you getting emotional about it? Let people figure themselves out.
Yeah, if you want to be cis, go be cis. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's fine.
There's nothing wrong. There's a small subsection of people who are discovering a new thing and having fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't threaten you at all.
Yeah.
Your life is fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Well, as you can see, we are now in completely different clothes and look completely different because we are recording this after the fact, after we realized this episode was going a whole lot longer than we thought it was going to.
Yes. That happens a lot. So.
It does. We do. We tend to get excited about talking about stuff. So we are going to wrap up the rest of our terminology in 2 weeks with our next episode, Trans Terminology Part 2, where we will finally start to actually talk about autogynephilia and a bunch of other terms, the stuff that we said at the beginning that we didn't touch on yet. We're going to do those next time.
Yes.
But thank you for joining us on this journey. There is so much craziness ahead of you.
So much.
You definitely want to come back. You don't want to miss that. Or if you're watching this far in the future, that video is already available and it's probably linked right down there. So just go ahead and watch it.
Yep, just go check it out.
But yeah, send us an email,
If you have
follow
any
us.
questions,
Yeah.
concerns.
If we got something wrong, if you are like, that's not what that word means, I recommend learning about it better than you did, then yeah, so shoot us an email, ladyandthetranspodcast@gmail.com, or just scream at us on social media. We love that. That's my favorite thing ever. Num,
Yeah.
num, num, num.
Love it.
Okay, bye!
Bye.
Yeah.
Lady and the Trans Podcast. Where we believe in science. We don't believe in God. Only science.